Okay, so I'm actually trying to give you a sketch about hw5 merge is doing. Okay, so now I'm actually going through the hw5 produce redacted. So the first part is doing this. I'm going to actually do this. This is at the end of the hw5 produce. Okay, so this part is basically just getting the first JSON and print it. Okay, for my hw5 merge, of course I'm going to comment this out because I want to print it at the end, but I will just leave it there to make sure. So I'm actually going to start to process the second JSON file. So which means that you actually need to change your ARGC, ARGV a little bit differently, because previously, if you look at the original code, that the ARGC here is expecting to be just equal to 2 because you only input one JSON. So obviously here you need to change this to 3, okay, to handle the merge. So that's one thing you need to change. Okay, so now I'm going to process second JSON. And the first part is that you need to obtain the file. You need to get the second file. So what you need to do, let me show you a bit here, is that what I did here, you have the same thing. I've just copied this piece of code. Okay, I'm just showing you, I'm copying this piece of code. And what I did here, the only difference is that I'm actually creating another file. I mean, you can probably use the same thing, is the same pointer if you close the file. But the important thing is this is actually number 2, okay? You're actually, I mean, let's just do it easier. So I just say I have another file pointer called jf2. And then jf2 is equal to whatever, okay? And then have the same thing is the size, and check the size, allocate memory, and what I will do is probably have a jf2 pointer here, use malloc. You see I'm using malloc. So after you've done this, at this point, your jf2 PTR is pointing to a memory region that's actually contain your second JSON. Okay, so now you're actually having your second JSON over here. Okay, and then what you're going to do, then now you're going to parse the JSON, right? So we're following exactly the same logic I already provide you here. So you just do this part. You do this part, and which, I mean, to make things easier, not worry about memory usage. I change everything to 2. JSON value is 2, reader builder is 2. I mean, this reader is 2. Of course, here you need to do a 2. And you can make arrows 2 as well. That's okay if you want to just save your trouble. And Boolean parse successful is 2, and reader is again 2. Of course, watch out, JF2 PTR here. JF2 PTR, L size 2, my V message 2, arrows 2. Okay, and then you delete reader 2. Okay, and then here is if not successful 2, blah, 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 arrow 2, that's it. Okay, so right now you can see that I'm just simply copy the code, but without doing memory optimization. And I just actually, up to this point, I actually parse the whole JSON. So until here, I already parsed the second JSON. And the second JSON is actually being stored under my V message 2. Okay, so instead of my V message, now is my V message 2. This is the guy you want to handle, right? Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit careful, because if you look at what happened here is that we are actually creating an object here. So we create this object called post. But wait a minute, we need to merge the post. And therefore, you don't want to do this again. If you do this, especially you do the second line, the whole data you process from the first JSON will be wiped out. B0 means that it wipe out everything, okay? So you definitely not want to do this. You definitely don't want to do this. I will say no, no, no. And this is even worse. Okay, you don't want to do this line, okay? And just skip it, and then what we do, okay? So the thing is that the first thing I actually did in my code is not just process this part, because I want to check, the first thing is whether the ID is actually identical. So I'm going to write the code here is a pseudo code, but I'm going to process the ID first. So just to let you know that in JSON, you can actually process this in different order. It will be okay. Okay, I'm going to actually copy the ID part. So what I want to do is I want to compare whether this two JSON belongs to the same post. That's important for me to check. So that's why I need to handle ID. So let's actually make everything two. It's easier. Two, IDSR2, ID2, my message to ID, right? I'm actually getting the ID part out of that. And then if ID20 is not null, okay, this part let's make it easier to just make everything two. Two, and this one is two, of course. And this profile ID is two, and this one is two. This one's two, this one is two. Okay, so now I'm going to do a difference. I'm going to actually compare. I'm going to compare whether they're the same. Then I would say if profile ID 2 not equal to my post profile ID, or post ID 2 is not equal to my post ID. Okay, so if either one of them is different, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say I'm out of here. Okay, std, cout. They are not the same post. Just easier. Backslash n, it's lazy here. And then I would just say exit -1. Okay. And here, the no ID found, also exit. Okay, because if there is either no ID presented, I'm not going to do anything to merge, right? So up to this point, if you do this part, I call it ID check, okay? Up to this point, if you hit here, I know now I can do the merge. Okay, so now up to this point, you bring in the ID, now you do that. So I'm going to show you one thing about how you merge, say, let's just say an easier way to merge. You can do session by session, but I'm only going to do the reaction part. Okay, I'm going to do a reaction part to show you a example how you can do this. So you should check this still session by session. but I'm going to show you how to do reaction, okay? So I'm going to, let me see. You know what? I actually want to change the code a little bit because I did change the code. I changed this to be vec ptr, and I'm actually called a VTR2. Okay, vec reaction ptr2 pointer is equal to new vector reaction star. Okay, so I create a new pointer, and now I'm actually doing this. Now you see I'm doing my message two, whether the reaction count is greater than 0. If the reaction count is greater than 0, that's fine. And I'm actually going to, yes, I'm still doing this part, my message two. And I'm still doing, okay, this I will just say P2, okay? I'll use this LJV2 as well. Just make sure that I don't confuse myself. LJV2, LJV2, and then this one, I'm actually going to do time 2 pointer. And then this is LJV2. I'm still doing this exactly the same. And by my reaction is reaction 2 pointer is new reaction LJV2, and reaction P2, reaction time 2. Okay, so I'm doing all this. And then I'm actually putting reaction 2 pointer. Okay, yeah. So this part, you see that is exactly the same. I'm just changing that to 2. But over here, what I'm doing here is that I already pushed this. Oh, I took it back. I make a mistake. Sorry about that. I take it back. This one, I know what I did. Okay. I know what I did. Here the vector is equal to my, now I remember why I have to add a star here, okay? Because I'm not going to new one. I'm going to use the one that directly from the post. So I will just say my post dot reactions. Okay, that's the key thing. Okay, this is the key. You know that this is the key. You're going to do this for every single thing you're going to merge, because when I have this pointer, instead of allocate a new one, because I can just use the original post. So what I did is I just directly assigned this my post dot reaction. If you look at the post dot h reactions type is std vector reaction star star, which is a pointer, which is exactly the same as this one. I better add std here. This is just my habit to always have std. So std vec pointer 2 is like this. So when you process this loop, at the every time you're just pushing this, what I call reaction 2 pointer, which is just push this, push back this into here. So you're actually appending the new reaction you got to the end of the vector of reactions pointer in the original post, in the post 1. And because you already done that, you don't need this line. You do not need this one. Let me put a few comments here, so in case you will see that here's the key. You reuse, I shouldn't say you reuse, just use the reactions pointer from the first and only first and only C++ post object. Okay. So if you've done that, I mean, it's just you have your you have your the reactions being appended to the reaction original, the my post reaction. So I'm saying that the merge is much easier because you're essentially taking your produce, doing what I just did, and you don't need to even change anything about dumpj. The dumpj, once you merge it in, dumpj will be just like that. I mean, probably I consider the hardest part for homework 5 produce is try to make dumpj correctly. Okay, and then at the end, of course, you do the rest. At the end, you just do this. Sorry, not this one, not you. So at the end, you just call the original function because you already put everything into my post. Now you just say my post dumpj, you will produce the JSON value which combine the both object. Okay. I will upload this code to the class, the homework 5 directory. Okay. After this, any question? There is a lot of question here. Let me check. Well, Sesame, your question about L underscore JV, there's something strange here because you're using the same thing. You're trying to create the L underscore JV here, but you're using on the right hand side, you also use LJV. Should that be either my V message, or should the left hand side should be LJV2 or something like that? You're basically using okay. So your question is okay, right? So for 1301, this is for Waypen. I actually run 13.1. It looks okay, and I didn't see any random functions being called 1301. So does other people has also problem with 1301? Let me first unshare. Let me first deal with trap 6. No, no, I saw trap 6 before. Um, I try to remember when I got trap 6. Uh, so this is for hw5 produce, Sesame. Do you know, okay, uh, Sesame, I have to look at your code to help you to find out, but one way you can do the debugging is try to decide where the code stopped. Means that because it's a logic error, you can use exception you can try the code, you can put the piece of code that's with a try block and with a catch. and you can just catch exception E, and then see that where this occurred, and putting the message. And then from there, you can actually decide whether you can figure that out, that what's wrong with that part of the code. If you still cannot figure out, send me that part of code. Okay, use your try and catch block to determine where it is. Okay. Okay, for 1301, I will need to handle offline. Okay, I need to check whether what's wrong with 1301. No, you don't need to include the JSON file for homework 5 submission, because we already have it. We can test it. Okay, I'm going to stop recording, and unless you have other questions related to homework 5 hw5 merge. Waypan, you can leave it there. That's okay. You don't have to delete it. You can leave it there as well. Okay.